What's up, everyone? My name is Alan, founder and consultant at Farnell Marketing, and welcome to Braze for Technical Marketers. Today, we're going to talk about what is a Braze current. Let's get started. So, Braze current is a long-standing Braze feature that allows us to export all sorts of data from Braze to an external data source. Braze documentation says the currents tool is a real-time data stream, and we actually say near real-time data stream of your engagement events that is the most robust yet granular export out of the Braze platform. So if you're ever looking for user level data, what user clicked on this email, what user received this SMS, that's where currents comes into play, and currents will have that data available for you. There actually used to be an internally circulating meme within Braze where someone created an image and it said currents was the answer, just because currents was the answer for so many of our users' data-related questions. And since then, there have been many updates in the Braze platform that does make data, granular data, and exporting a little bit more visible and flexible. But currents is still a very great feature that will provide the user-level data. And before we take a look at what it looks like in the Braze dashboard, there are two types of currents connectors. We have the message engagement events connector, then we have the customer behavior events connector. They are two different connectors sold separately, and from our experience, for every 20 message engagement connectors that we saw customers use, we saw maybe one customer behavior events getting used. Not to say that it's not a useful connector. Customer behavior events definitely can be very necessary for some teams, but we've also noticed that a lot of teams have CDPs coming into Braze, and they just did not need this customer behavior event. And when we take a look at the events available in here, it might explain why CDPs and the customer behavior events might play the same role. But let's take a look at the message engagement event. So this is where you see the user level engagement data. And if you take a look at the fields available or the table schemas available, you will see things like bounce, clicks, email, campaign, canvas. You can start to see how Braze Currents categorizes your data into bigger buckets like this. There should be channel-specific ones. So all these are channel-specific, push, SMS, webhooks, email, and messages. WhatsApp should be one of them. But then you can also see it based on like message engagement specific tables. So let's actually take a look at what is included in a current table. And we will look at email just because email might be the most straightforward thing to look at. And all the other tables are similar. But you take a look at all the available email data, and we have email abort message events. This event occurs if an email message was aborted based on liquid aborts, quiet hours, etc. Email send events. This event occurs when an email send request was successfully communicated between Braze and SendGrid or SparkPost. Though this does not mean the email was received in the end user's inbox. So the point is you'll see a bunch of very instantaneous transactional data, and transactional not in the sense of like a transactional versus marketing, but these are exchanges of data happening in the back end. And for every single event, you are getting a row of data available in your currents connector. So this literally means that for every single email that's been clicked that was sent out of Braze, you will get a row of data available to you in Braze. So Braze really gives it to you all or nothing. They give you everything in the currents connector. But the downside is that this data is not easily available within the Braze dashboard. So if you want to see whether a user received this specific campaign and what that campaign looks like, you won't be able to see that in Braze. But if you do have the currents connector, you'll be able to see it in the external data source that you set up. And let's take a further look at email clicks events. So we see things like, and I'm going to actually look at cloud storage and I'll explain in a little bit why I'm looking at cloud storage, but we'll see the campaign ID, campaign name, or if it came from a canvas, canvas ID, canvas name, even the canvas step name, because it's actually the canvas step that's sending it, not a canvas. Device class model, so what device clicked on this email, the email address that clicked on it, I guess what ESP was sent in the back end, and I mentioned Spark Post or SendGrid. Those are the two main email service partners that Braze works with. The external ID, the IP pool. There's also what's called message extras. We should see message extras. Oh, and that's maybe available in a email sent, but not in the clicks. Okay, let's go back to email clicks. And then we also have user agent. So user agent, so that shows like, that usually relates to what device or what client that the user performed this click, as well as the time and a bunch of other fields. So this starts to give you a bigger picture of all the different columns that are available in your currents connectors. And typically what the use case or what the process is Braze exports the currents data to an external data source, such as any one of these here. So it could be your Amazon S3, it could be your Google Cloud Storage, it could be Microsoft Azure, but it could also be some of these more specific platforms. Now, when these platforms receive the data, then it's up to the data team that you might be partnering with for them to generate a report, give you some insight, give you access to what's happening, analyses based on your currents data. And most likely you are aggregating the data based on the campaigns. So you might have data from hundreds of campaigns under the email open event. So it is up to the data team to kind of pull a report of all data under this specific campaign or grouped by campaigns at least. And if you want to do like a debugging session and you want to look for a specific email address, then maybe the data team is building a search function or a filtering function where you can filter by a specific email address. And we strongly recommend just unchecking all the boxes and go through every single table. Like what's available? You notice that WhatsApp read event. So this is kind of similar to an email open event, right? If we're comparing the two channels. But you also have WhatsApp delivery, WhatsApp failure, WhatsApp send, WhatsApp abort message. So you notice that there's similar categories of data for each channel. And then we have content card abort, email abort, push notification abort. So you notice the pattern here. There are similar, all the different outcomes of a message action for each channel gets logged in a message engagement currents data. And finally, let's see what that looks like in the Braze dashboard. So if you go to partner integrations, data export, that's where you can set up your currents connector. Keep in mind that currents connectors are one per workspace. So if you have one for the For Now Marketing new workspace, that one does not translate over to the Liquid for Technical Marketers Proficient workspace, for example. But what Braze did do is allow us to create test currents, which work in a very limited volume. But this is amazing because we are now able to flexibly test and set up things and make sure the data is flowing properly. This was a big pain point a few years ago, so thank you, Braze, for building this. But you can see that we don't have any currents integrations on our dashboard. So we have 0 of 0 currents integrations and 0 of 0 customer behavior events integrations, which I have yet to touch on, but I will shortly. But let's say I tried creating a test current, and most often we see teams exporting to their data warehouse, because what they can do is from their data warehouse, they can choose to send it to multiple sources, versus if you choose to send it directly to the end destination, maybe Mixpanel. I don't believe there's a way to easily export from Mixpanel back to your other sources. So that's why they like to keep it in a single source of truth, a high-level data source like Amazon S3, Google Cloud, or Azure. And then from there, they set it up themselves to decide where else should this data go to. So let's choose Amazon S3. There's some fields, and most likely the marketing team does not have access to the credentials needed to set up this integration. So even as Braze consultants, we don't often get visibility into the setup behind it. And also because it's external to Braze, there's a lot of things that we don't have access or permissions to. But we are happy to share the process, the general process, and then the fields that are available, which we have looked into several times. But all of these tables that you see are pretty much what we just went over in the message engagements documentation page. So most oftentimes we see teams just selecting all, and then everything gets pushed into your destination source. If you truly don't need some fields, then only feel free to choose the ones that you do need. But this is where you come in and set it up. And then when all that is figured out, it looks like you press launch, and then the data will start to export in near real time, and then you should be able to start seeing the data in your data destination. So let's talk about customer behavior and user events, because this is something we've been hinting at. So this is the other connector that's different than the message engagement connector. One is literally all your message engagements. Any engagement that your user performs with your messages comes in this one. And then the second one is any user behavior, customer behavior, user events. So not related to a message, but related to the actions that your user performs. And this is why I mentioned that it's very similar to a CDP, a customer data platform, because Braze allows you to export all instances of custom events that were performed by the user, all purchase events, all first session events. So the user level interaction that's happening is also being stored in Braze, and that is also able to get ported out to a data source of your choice. I won't go through the events here, but you can actually see the much shorter list of tables up here. And then it looks like back in our current setup, if we do have a entitlement to this customer behavior and user events connector, which I believe is supposed to be considered more superior or just more valuable data, it looks like you have the option to toggle this on and then set up the data that you want as well. We will not be talking about any contractual points in this video, just because we cannot speak on behalf of the Braze sales team. But please reach out to the Braze sales team to inquire about the add-on prices of these connectors. They are very useful, and they can be exactly what you needed in terms of data export from your Braze dashboard to your data warehouse or data sources. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.